So I knew there was a way to make it more detailed, and we were having problems with that. So I'm gonna share screens, and we're gonna hop right into Vectary.
Okay.
And I really don't know if it's Vectary. I think it's Vectary. So we talked about how to name it by clicking up here, and we can change the name. This is the model we had last time that we pulled the piece out. So pressing Z takes us through all of these guys. So right now we're in the top, and we're gonna go, you can see the shading mode. And the shading mode's kind of nice because it lets us look at what we're doing. So if I come over here to my menu, so under my object, these are my submenus. And all sorts of fun things. So how I subtracted stuff, how we can play with, do the twist, do bends, do beveled edges, all of that's under the bent looking or the deform tool. This one here, the generator is the big one. So hang on a second, I'm gonna do two things. I'm gonna move you over there because that way I can see you without having to go and look funky.
Right.
So inside of the generate tool, this is where we actually can really get into manipulating the surface and those polygon counts. So this is a polygon, and we've talked about polygons, and I'm not going to talk about polygons anymore because when I say polygon, you know I mean these little boxes. So if I go under here, I'm going to hit subdivision surface. But before I do that, at the bottom, this is telling us what we're looking at. So in perspective, and our poly count right now is only 200. So if you remember, like our small form in ZBrush is something like the small one we drop it in is like 5,000. So that's the difference between this and ZBrush and details. So when I come up here to subdivide and I just click on it once, I jump up to 1520. And that looks like by pressing Z, I have a lot more space now.
Yeah.
Do it again. Now I'm at 6,000. So this is where we start in ZBrush. And when I press Z, now look at those guys. Look at how much it's smoothed out that really heavy angle that we had. And it's really kind of played with the surface. I can then go back in, and now I can start to do things like I can do my different snap to grids in here. Oops. Boy, I forget, like I click that and I want to click it and just have this open, but it doesn't. So when we're going into and we want to start to maneuver and do things, like we can do the twist now. And you can see how the twist starts. But because we're dealing with an egg, our twist is not going to be that much. Probably until we get into a more, until we get into something with a little bit more surface play to it. So this is going to help us manipulate taper, because the twist doesn't look like it does much of anything. Let me try to see if we switch it in here. So you can see the taper there. That's definitely going to be closer to our egg shape that we wanted. I wish it had, right? So like in ZBrush, when you press the F key, it centers, and if we hit shift, it'll go to the degrees.
Yeah.
I wish it had that. It doesn't have that. If we skew it, and you can see how it's pulling everything to one side. So the twist does this. And so the downside with these tools are, as far as I can see, I would hope that we could go in and that's subdivide. So here's the twist. I wish that's the original shape, is the yellow outline. And this is the new shape with a twist. If we maneuver the entire thing, because we're global, it does that twisting for us. If we take it off of global, oh, we were on localized. Okay, let's try this. No, it's still, so the only downside is we can change it a little. but we don't have like finite control over doing this as far as I've found yet. We can always go all the way back to our original. And we can, oh, what dissolve does. Ooh. So dissolving is getting rid of the effect. Oh, I thought for a second we had somebody new join us, but we didn't.
I'm sorry I'm so boring, Abel. Sorry.
No, you're not. I just, you know, I just wish the other people would come and say hi.
Well, I think JT died. I have not.
He sent me an email. He is
Oh, did he?
alive. And
JT.
he apologized for not being here. We've had a couple of students really sick. So I kind of worry about them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I dissolve this one, it drops my poly count back down. So this is this way because at one point I tilted it.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got him kind of out of whack, but I don't care if he's out of whack right now because this is just us kind of messing with these things. And it's going to stay this way until we bake the guy in. And then once we bake him, it's going to change him a little bit. So I'd probably mess with some of these just to see what they can do. There's got to be a way for us. So if I come over here, we can do some, over here on the side, we can do some messing with, where we can play with the direction. There we go. Ooh, that's getting rocky, messy.
So are we making an egg? That's the projects that we're making an egg. Okay, thank you.
So, go.
So we are making an egg. That's what we're doing.
Oh yes, we are going to. So we're going to take one of our projects. We're not going to save this. So wait a minute, before I go into that, here's the mess around tools. I knew there was a way to get in there and mess around. So when we hit one of these things, you click on what you're doing. So this is the noise one, and I can lock or unlock the amounts.
Okay.
And if I get the arrows, so you can see.
Oh yeah.
And then that looks like, that's what I've just done to the geometry's all messed up. That'd be a rough thing to print. Look at this rough edges over here. Those guys are pretty stratus. So what we're going to do is, do I want to save? Don't save this. I said don't save this. So we're going to take one of our three. So one of them should be your messing around with. So for you, that's your spaceship.
That's very true.
And then we're going to take one of them and we're going to make that into an Easter egg. Let's see if it's still.
Make the spaceship into an Easter egg?
No, you're going to make a separate Easter egg.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, what the heck?
Heck no, keep the spaceship. That guy looks good. We're going to get rid of this guy since I messed him all up. We're new. So to me, if I'm going to make an Easter egg, I'm going to look at my primitive forms first. And I would say probably I'm going to start with a sphere. But you could try and mess with some of these other ones.
Right.
Throw down the polyhedron. So the polyhedron comes in at only 80.
Mm-hmm.
So I might go in and subdivide first. There we go. Now I'm at 7,000.
What would you say a good amount of polys is if you want to?
I'd say we want to be about 5,000 polys.
Okay.
Just to start. So we're going to look at this countdown here. I'm at 7,006. And you can see, so on the polyhedron, because it's not a standard surface piece, it's got these weird polygons. So I don't know how that's going to affect what I'm going to do next. If I want to you know, I would definitely play with all of these tools first so I kind of know what's going to happen. So when I taper him, that doesn't make a bad looking egg.
No, that's a good looking egg, I'd say.
The only thing I would worry about is see that weird polygon set. Is this going to let me kind of manipulate it? Because when I get into subtracting or intersecting, how much is that going to mess this up? So we're not going to keep it looking pure Easter eggy. One of the things I might do is I might go in and type in
Amazing. Yeah.
you got to be careful with your
Amazing Easter egg design.
vernacular. So like these are Easter eggs, and it's cool to have this pattern, but what if this pattern is three-dimensional? Like what if these pieces actually project off of the surface?
Right.
And what if some of these pieces cut into the surface? Oh my gosh, those are hilarious. Those are polymer clay. Oh no. Is that tissue paper?
I think so.
See,
so cool.
those are some fun things. So we don't want to have stuff where we're just dyeing the egg. Making things like, you know, patterns on the surface. How can we take this program and make something cool out of it? This search did not come up with what I was hoping for, though. So
it's that word choice, Abel.
It says amazing, amazing sculpted. So things like this.
Yeah, that is really cool. I like that.
So where we don't have to poke a hole in an egg, blow out the yolk, and carefully make a carving without destroying the egg. Though ostrich eggs, super tough, so they're easy to do this with.
Do you think these are ostrich eggs or polymer clay or something?
Yeah. Miss Barnheiser, not Barnheiser, Pitzinger used to raise ostriches.
She raised
yeah, she had an ostrich farm. See, cool. Like this, painstaking, difficult. We're going to do the painstaking, difficult things in the virtual world where we can easily restart, where we can go back to a safe place and we don't have to have the worry or the fret of it breaking on us. Because there'd be nothing worse than to do all this hard work and then crack a part of the egg. So this is what I'm kind of thinking of when we do our Easter egg design. I might come up with a pattern first, maybe do a couple sketches. I think I want my Easter egg to do this. I probably should say I'll put in there, do a search for amazing sculpted Easter eggs. And then we should be cool. So inside of here, I mean, up a little.
Tell me again how to make a hole, because I forgot how to make a hole again.
All right, so let's make a hole in this guy. We're gonna go back into, so we're back into the generator, the same place we're gonna do to increase our poly count. And I'm gonna click on my polyhedron again. I'm gonna click this guy to center me, or A does fit to view. And then, so I'm gonna come in here and I have Boolean subtract. And now it's gone, right? So Control Z, bring him back. What I need to do is I need to intersect it with another piece. So let's look at, we'll put this tort in. And I'm gonna A center. And I wanna get this guy right in the middle of my torque. And I wanna move him up my egg, A center again. I don't like him being that fat. Want to increase his volume a little bit. All right, so just like this, he's still kind of fat to me. Make him skinnier, but bigger. Just like this. So I have him on two sides.
Mm-hmm.
Now I go into my setting and I go Boolean subtract. And I want to switch it to texture. Oh, I have to be on the right one. So I go to my polyhedron. Why is it not switching view? Probably shouldn't have done that. Or I probably should have baked that warp in first.
How do you bake something in?
So we come to it, we go edit, and it says convert to geometry, and I say yes. There's also, over here, I can convert to geometry. So I can convert that to geometry, and then I can't switch my renders. Well, it's not letting me switch my renders at all. Then I'm going to come over here to the tort, and notice how the tort is, I can switch that.
Mm-hmm.
So he will lock him in his form, and we're going to group him, and he should be my negative. Turn back on my egg. It is subtracted, it is subtracted, it is subtracted, come all the way to the top. All right, let's just do this real quick. Let's go. Convert this to geometry. There's my smooth egg. Press A, get it centered. We have to do it in here. Okay, we're gonna try it again. Put in a torch, move it up. It's too big. So we're gonna, oops, wrong button. Do this, shrink it down. Do that. Let's give it a little bit of a tilt.
Hold on 1 second. Someone's fighting.
Okay, I'll pause. Okay, so figured it out. So here we are, we're all baked, right? And got this nice going. Got my tort in here, and I've hit subtract. Now what I need to do is I need to move this guy above my tort.
I can't see it if.
You know what? Okay, now I gotta Control Z undo. Oh my gosh. Okay. Let's see if I've gone back far enough. I think I have. So now share screen. That is hilarious. That's definitely staying in the video.
Oh yeah.
All right. So we're gonna get rid of the tort all the way. See if I can. Okay. So here I am. I'm moving my tort around, right? And I'm gonna tilt him a little bit. And I've got him all set. We're gonna change his color just so he's easier for us to see.
Okay.
And I don't want him to completely take out, I just want him to take out a chunk. So we'll leave him kind of like that. The tort has a really low poly count. So I could, in here, subdivide it. And that's gonna, so see how it's kind of funky shape?
Mm-hmm.
If I drop this, or if I increase this poly count, now that shape becomes smoother in here. So we'll increase him just a little bit. So I've got this ring, boop-a-doop-a-doop, looks nice. And then I'm gonna come into it and I'm gonna go subtract Boolean. Now he disappears and my egg shows up. So I'm gonna grab my egg, I'm gonna pull him up above. Up above. And I have a hole through my egg. So
yeah.
We'll change our egg. Our egg gets really glossy. Let's go to advanced colors. So my Boolean is still here. If I turn it off, the hole goes away. If I turn it on, my hole comes back. If I decide though, you know what, I don't want a hole like that. Let's move it just so, okay, can I switch each one's color? I really should be able to.
You can if they're
Yeah.
not under the same thingamajig.
All right, so there we go. Now, when I go back to this guy, Locky, and how do I, extra shader wider. Should be able to refresh that guy, I think. Turn it off, turn it back on. Okay, so maybe I have to redo. Okay, so I'll redo my subtraction, go, good, drop him in, put my torque up above. Well, fiddle me sticks. Or do I have to rebake him? Boolean subtract, he's baked. All right, let's put him up on top. Let's try and convert him. I had it working completely, I promise. And then I wasn't showing it, of course, and now it's not going to show.
Sorry.
Well, all right, let's do this. Control Z. When all else fails, I know I did it at one point. Okay, so that's my hole.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? We're just going to do this. We're just going to add a new guy. We'll do a capsule. Ooh, he's big. Let's move this up. Let's move it that way. Let's tilt this a little bit. And then we go zoink, Boolean subtract. So I did my subtraction. If I grab this and put it under my poly count, see, it perfectly did it. Monkey.
Yay.
Yay. All right, so we got to play with, we'll have to play with the subtract part a little and figure it out again. Because it should be, it shouldn't matter that there's different ones. Okay, so if I put them in the same one, that's changing his surface. So he's still there. I can see him, I can see him. Let's group. Let's group. All right. Let's get rid of, let's merge. And then well, this is not doing what I thought it was going to do. How's that? All right, I will play and figure out how to make these positive and negatives work. Because really all it is it should just be we're adding or subtracting parts. Oops, I didn't mean to do that twice. So if we wanted to bring in a cone, And instead of having it two separate pieces, that's where we would go in and we would do an intersect. But it seems to keep pushing this down below. All right, I'll play with it because it was working. We saw it. I have video proof that it was working.
Yeah, okay.
Then I have video proof of me going, and you not seeing anything but me going.
Yeah.
So basically, the first thing I would do is hopefully I put up there this is how you do it thing. We might have to go through and wretchedly watch their help tutorials. I did put on our classroom, so I'm gonna show you that real quick. Boink boink. Oh yeah, by the way, do you like the Kennedy and Abel show?
Yeah, that was really good. 10 out of 10.
Yeah, we gotta get more people to subscribe to our cast though. So I put up here a link, and this, it kind of goes through and shows you what is in each section. And they're not, I mean, it's not really a tutorial, it's not really a step-by-step, it's just kind of giving you where is what is. Because some of the tools I didn't realize what they were doing. And then we have other things like we could do similar to Photoshop, you know, like lasso tools, our key tools, the paint tool. See, I knew there was a way to make different colors, but we're going to play through in here. And then let me just see, because I thought, I don't think this has in it how to add or subtract the Booleans. This looks like it could be useful. So, and basically it's just doing a blur effect. Because the other thing Vectary uses is you can set this to save, like when you go to export. And you can do different type of exports, including if you wanted, if you were going to make something for like, here it is, under share. You can do, if you're gonna make stuff for Facebook, so you can set your renders up. And then, because you can take these objects and you can take a picture of the real world, and you could place, so you could put your hand like this, take a picture, and you'll be able to place your Easter egg in your hand.
That is really cool.
And it'd be kind of cool if you like take a couple of them and like that blur effect would be nice. Like you could have it like eggs coming around you, like you could be. And then, or you could have your siblings all.
I would do that, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Without real eggs though. Oh. Wow.
I'll practice one with real eggs. That's okay.
So I will figure out how to make Booleans work. Boolean is the term for any geometric shape inside of a dimensional space. And some programs will say if you set the Boolean to negative or positive. So if you have two negative Booleans and you put them next to each other, they become one object. If you have two positive Booleans next to each other, they become one positive. If you have a positive Boolean and a negative Boolean, that intersection point, one disappears and cuts out from the other. So this, we just have to figure out how to do the correct way to subtract the Boolean.
Yeah.
Maybe one of our viewers will comment below and they'll say, hey, this is how you do it. Awesome sauce. Hey, I see you got a Vanderbilt. I am sporting a Wittenberg today.
I don't know. Is this a team? This isn't mine.
That's a college.
Oh, is it a college?
It is.
It's very
And
nice.
they do have teams.
Yeah. It's a nice college. It's a nice city.
All right, madam. So keep working on parts for your spaceship.
Yeah. I'll have to watch videos because I really don't know what else to do.
Well, think of like what would you like your spaceship to be?
I can make it. I'll turn it into a hamburger because that one was really cool. I'll do that.
That Easter egg hamburger, that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I'll turn it into a hamburger and then I can make like the rock a tomato or something. It's a plan.
That'd be kind of sweet.
Yeah.
All right. Stay out of trouble.
Yeah, I'll try.
We know. And I will catch you on Monday. I'll probably try to get a clip up either this week or this weekend that says, here's the steps to do this right.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Cool, cool?
Mhm.
All right. So
Cool.
from the Kennedy Abel Show,
Yep. Bye.
bye.